Dr. Stevens, thank you for your support as I take over the role of Chief Physician of the GRE. While I understand the higher-ups need a scapegoat for the virus leak, your expulsion seems counterproductive. All the more reason to thank you for agreeing to review my reports before I send them to the GRE board. October 20th, 2021. A GRE report on the state of the epidemic. With the first cases in Zurich and Paris, the plague spread like wildfire. We're dealing with a variant of the 2014 strain. We call it tachytransmissive heron virus, or THV. It's deadly and highly transmissible. We recommend immediate action. All European borders must be closed immediately. All civilian air and rail services suspended. National governments must introduce civil procedures as follows. Isolate individuals thought to be infected. Quarantine anyone who's been in close contact with them. Issue shelter-at-home orders immediately. As for the dead, bodies should be incinerated. Implementing restrictions now will slow the spread of the virus. We need time to create a vaccine and have begun working with private sector companies. Our diligence in the coming weeks will decide on our fate. December 19th, 2021. GRE report on the state of the epidemic. Firstly, I must comment on the news report now circulating. It has damaged our credibility in the eyes of the world. Yes, the virus may have leaked from a GRE lab, but we cannot dwell on the past if we are to have a future. The data shows that the THV strain is far more contagious than previously known. So far, only antizin has proven reliable in stopping the virus's spread. However, we found in Villador the same results as in the other 20 candidate cities. The UV light affects the virus in a similar way. It stops the virus's spread without eliminating it from the body. Nonetheless, at this rate, in a few weeks, more than half of humanity will be infected. Accordingly, we must now enter the second phase of the protocol. Government should now outlaw the following. The operation of any business not deemed an essential service. Gatherings of more than 4 people not sharing the same household. Free movement by any civilians who are not first responders or essential workers. In short, we recommend that martial law be declared. We may still bring this situation under control. January 24th, 2023. GRE report on the state of the epidemic. I'm sorry to report that infection numbers are going up, not down. The mortality rate in Europe has increased from 45,000 cases per week to 320,000. In Ukraine and Poland, the number of cases has increased by 400% each week. In Russia and Spain, healthcare systems are completely overwhelmed. Despite the mobilization of the military and the closure of borders, despite implementing containment measures in the 20 most impacted cities, the protocol is failing us. We now have to face the facts and admit that nowhere is safe. Russia's military has begun a campaign of genocide against those even suspected of infection. It pains me to say what follows, but there is little hope of survival for most of the world's current population. Thus, we at the GRE must pivot. Look at the bigger picture to prevent mankind's extinction. Speed up our actions. Time is short. We must centralize resources and start operating at the very heart of events. Enhance our efforts to bring humanity a cure. Start making immediate decisions. But also, and my voice trembles when I say this, radical ones. 11 months have passed since we arrived in Villador. With us are the leaders of 6 major European countries and their combined militaries. The Council of Mankind. April 13th, 2024. GRE report on the state of the epidemic. The report is about Villador, the last major city left in the world. All others have fallen. This city is humanity's last hope. The Council of Mankind is doing its best to protect the city as the GRE studies THV in controlled circumstances. The protocol. Unrest among the citizens is growing as thousands of immigrants gather outside the walls. The military safeguards the border, but some leaders are worried the situation might escalate. Inside, crime is on the rise as supplies grow scarce. Civilians have started to form militia groups, patrolling the streets with guns. General Pratt ordered them to disband and confiscated all privately owned weapons. This led to many protests all over the city, attended by thousands. At one gathering, the military opened fire. 64 civilians were killed. People call it the March Massacre. I have reason to believe we are on a downward spiral now. I've never been religious. But if there's a God, then this virus is the devil. And we are in hell. August 8th, 2024. GRE report on the state of the epidemic. Uncontrolled rioting grips the city. Last month, an angry mob raided a supply ship moored at the wharf, damaging it. Soldiers panicked and threw crates of ammo overboard to prevent them from being seized by the angry mob. Thank God they kept safe the medical supplies we need to increase antizin production. But let us not forget, antizin is not a cure. It merely inhibits the virus. Immigrants deemed useful are being granted entry to the city. This selection process has sparked even more outrage and further violence.
Kasumi, did you allow treatment of wounded rioters at your Central Loop clinic?
General Pratt, these people require medical attention. Doctors take an oath.
For fuck's sake! Your clinic is now the epicenter of a THV outbreak! 4 doctors have tested positive!
What? Oh, God!
The clinic is to be isolated immediately, a quarantine zone established. If not, the virus will spread like wildfire. We're shutting down the VNC tower transmitter. If the only way to stop the riots is to block all communications and confine them to their homes, so be it. Proud of yourself, Kasumi!
October 2024. GRE report on the state of the epidemic. There's good news and bad news. The good news is GRE researchers are finally getting some promising results in clinical tests. The bad news is we are fighting against time for more than one reason. The riots have gotten out of control. Rumors have begun to spread, reminding the population that the GRE was responsible for the virus in the first place. Someone is distributing defamatory flyers. Some of my colleagues suspect the Army. Can't believe it, but Pratt has cut off communications with the GRE. It appears the military has decided to use the GRE as a scapegoat for all this turmoil. But maybe I'm wrong. I hope I am.
There she is! She's one of those murdering doctors, too!
Stop! Stop! What are you doing?
Shut the hell up, murderer! You're about to get some of your own medicine.